So we are not currently live with you, Matter Talks. We're recording because we've had technical difficulties, but nonetheless, we're doing this interview, and I'm so excited to have Rosalyn and Dan with us today. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Thank you so much for having us. We're excited to be here and have this juicy conversation.
I mean, what gets juicier than money and relationships? It's like the two scariest topics for most people.
Totally.
But it is so juicy, which I love. And I love, I saw you guys doing a live on your Facebook, and I just loved the energy you guys had and the tips you were giving. I thought it was beautiful.
Thank you.
And part of doing these You Matter talks is actually bringing people on live, authentically, vulnerably, and really exploring like what different relationship things work for different people, right? Because there's not really a one size fits all. There's some fundamental things that seem to pervade most successful relationships. But it's so nice to have couples on as often as possible, or triples, or the many different relationship dynamics we can have.
That would be interesting.
I know. Well, I know I put up this joke about, I think it was Belgium, where they had banned any kind of intimacy that was inside with more than 3 people. And I'm like, okay, all quads, like any fours are out. Like triples are it. If you have more than 3, you have to go outside apparently, and then apparently you can have as many people as you want, because
that is very interesting.
I wonder what kind of research they had to conduct to figure that out, right?
This whole virus thing has just brought up like some of the most interesting things I have really ever heard. It's intriguing to me. So what I saw you guys doing the live was this pleasure in the bedroom and the bank. Tell me a little bit about what this is that you guys are doing and how you came up with this.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dan and I, I'll get you to share your background. Do you want to share yours first, and then okay.
Yeah. So I'm a certified financial planner. So I help people with the money aspect of living their life, retirement, paying off debt, managing money.
And I am a intuitive mindsets and visionary business coach. And so I work on with my spiritual entrepreneurs a lot around money mindset and abundance. And I also was a former registered psychologist with a master's in marriage and family therapy. So I have years of experience in private practice working with lots of couples and families. And so we decided, for fun, we're going to call ourselves Pleasure in the Bedroom and Bank, because people do admire us. They see us as a power couple. And I get questions, I'm sure you do too, babes, where people are like, how do you guys do it? And then we see other couples struggling. One of the things we noticed, even like when you go out to restaurants, right? And the couples are on their phone.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Not communicating
with each other.
Yeah.
And we're just like, that is so sad. And we're having a whole dinner, and I'll notice a couple behind us is they're not even talking to each other.
Restaurants aren't going to need to have candles going forward, because the cell phone light will just provide that ambiance.
Yeah.
So we were so inspired by just how to just share what is it that helps us have a juicy, sexy, passionate relationship. It's not perfect, of course, right? But that is really, there's no secret. Like, we preach about doing the inner work.
Totally.
We have a coach ourselves, and it's really important to be able to communicate with each other, particularly with the most touchy subjects, sex. I'm sure your people in here know, right? And money.
Because people hold money near and dear to their hearts, right? And it's almost a taboo topic, kind of like sex, right?
Yeah.
So some couples don't have the proper conversations surrounding it. So when I meet with couples for my financial planning, it's interesting because they are discovering for the first time, even though these are married couples, what their priorities are, right?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
It is.
It's so true. Like I see it all the time too. Like couples discovering after years of marriage what their values are, how they view money, how they how they view sex, like all of these different things. It's almost, like people manage to go through the dating phase and they're kind of, putting on some masks and presenting themselves a certain way and maybe not having those deeper conversations. And then they get into their marriage and it's hard to avoid these conversations.
Yeah.
Yes. And, just understanding how family systems and relationships and human psychology, right, work is how we do one part of our life is how we do all parts of our life. And so if we can start to learn how to have effective communication with regards to, in this case, a doorway in is money, that's going to help activate the energy into other aspects of the relationship and like spilling into the bedroom, right? So that's how we came up with pleasure in the bedroom and bank. Be playful about it.
So what are your guys's, what is it that you think people should know about creating pleasure in the bedroom and bank? Like what are those, I mean, Dan, I'm sure you see it all the time with the financial stuff, things that come up regularly. Like what are those kind of like hot topics that you find people just really could use some support with?
Well, some of the most shocking meetings I have are when one of the spouses ends up in tears because they've been holding something back or not revealing something. And they talk to me about finances. One woman had a shoe fetish, and a guy spent thousands of dollars every year on golf, and his wife didn't know. So there's always these hidden things, right? So if you're hiding finances, like what Roz mentioned before, it's usually going to mean you're hiding something else.
Yeah.
Or you talk about not having the proper conversations, right? You can only avoid the conversation for so long as it relates to sex or family or whatever the case is. It's an effective strategy until it isn't, and then it explodes, right?
Usually, yes.
Yeah.
And I want to add to that. That shows the lack of emotional safety in a relationship when you cannot be truthful about how you're, in this case, spending money. And what else are you not being truthful about? So when we take it to the bedroom, are you able to share what you need from your partner? Are you able to share your fantasies and your desires? Were you holding yourself back? That's what we mean by hiding, right? Not necessarily being malicious, but it's in the arena of how emotionally safe are you in this relationship to be able to say the thing that, and so many, I'm sure, Leanne, you talk about this, is how brave can you get with sharing your deepest desires and risk disapproval?
Totally. Well, and I love that you bring up safety in the relationship, because there's safety in the relationship and then there's safety within your own emotional self, right? Which is, I think, where you guys are talking about the personal work and the inner work, because we need to be able to find enough safety even to be honest with ourselves here first.
Yes.
And I don't mean, again, that people are lying to themselves on purpose. I've mentored a lot of people and they're like, oh, my clients always tell me the truth 100% of the time. And I'm like, they tell you what they believe is the truth. Usually we're lying to ourselves about something.
Yes.
Whether we're consciously or unconsciously doing it, right? And so, I love that you brought that up, because that emotional safety is super important. Then you can translate that into your, intimate relationship.
Yes.
And then, of course, in the bedroom, like, that's where like the juiciest stuff happens, when we can just be like total vulnerability and authenticity, and where you don't have anything holding you back. And you might be doing some crazy things that, like, if yourself like 10 years ago saw you doing, you'd be like, who the heck is that? But if it feels good and it works,
Well, yeah, just because you turn 18 and you're now an adult doesn't mean you stop changing, right? I mean, we both experienced some pretty dramatic changes over the past 4 or 5 years, especially, right? And what it relates to is sometimes you're not even being honest with yourself at the same time, yet alone your partner. But if you don't truly know what's motivating you or driving you towards certain actions, I don't think you've had an honest conversation with yourself as well.
Beautiful. So like, what are the things that you guys do regularly in your relationship that keep these things strong? Like if you were sitting across from another couple that you loved and adored, and they're like, man, we're trying to figure this out, what would be like the pieces that you would give them that's really worked for you?
Well, we love having a ritual. So a daily ritual where we connect. So for us, that's like in the shower.
Oh yeah.
Sexy too. But honestly, the shower water is just activating, right? Like activating. So I'm a shower person. Like I will shower in the morning to activate myself to really come alive more. And
Totally.
Granted, I am one of those people that get out of bed and I'm like, hi, like that, like I'm not most days. But there is something on a spiritual level. It just activates me. And then our nighttime is where we do our shower ritual, and it really is a place where we have this. It's like a sacred place where we can just connect.
Yeah.
Kind of like drain whatever we need to drain from our day and
wash off the dirt of the day, right?
Totally.
What dirt? I don't have any dirt.
I don't know about you guys, but there's something sexy. Like I think, and I've seen it. I used to run this group called Sexy Fun Conversations, and it would come up again and again. But like this fantasy of being washed.
Yeah.
Like about having someone just wash you in whatever way it is, and just like seeing all of you being all of yourself and in that vulnerability and.
That is beautiful. That's a beautiful ritual. Well, I'm thinking Dan needs to do that with me tonight. So.
Oh yeah, I think you can get your back in ways you've never been able to get your back. Get a get a little, shoulder massage at the same time.
Well, we have this beautiful soaker tub, and we, it's not a shower, it's a bath.
As long as the kids are gone.
As long as the kids are going to come in and disturb us. We're just really unwinding and checking in with each other. I think that check-in point is really important.
And I was also going to say another way that we check in with ourselves is we have like a chalkboard in our bedroom with the different categories in our life, from spirituality, financial goals, relationship goals, family goals, whatever the case is, right? And we've listed specific things that are measurable, because I need some measurable, tangible things.
Right? I can feel this yin and yang here, yes.
Yeah. So I need concreteness, right? And so every once in a while, we try to do it monthly, and we say, how are we doing on our goal? What are we on track for? What has been forgotten? Because, like, we're not perfect, right? We get sidetracked and distracted, but it helps to ground us and get us back in line with what's important to us. Because obviously we came together making those decisions because they were important, right?
Okay, so you have a chalkboard in your room with all your different, sort of quadrants or whatever you want to call them. And then you put literally your tangible goals in there. And then do you kind of like update like how you're doing on the goals, like within those spaces?
Yep.
Yes, it's actually a chalkboard wall. So, chalkboard.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a big wall. And we get to see that we see it every single day. So that's a part around, I'll call it like a vision board, right? We need to be able to see our vision board every day so that it keeps it at top of mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Even though you might know it, but it's powerful to see it and to stay on top of it.
Absolutely. And I love that, it's also a tangible goal, because like, what Dan is saying is people often get in relationships with other people and they're like, oh my gosh, they're like different than me, right? In this way, like they really need something concrete and analytical, and we really want to go with the flow, and
we work well together most of the time. Your strengths turned up too loud become your weaknesses, right? So sometimes I might be a little too woo will say, and then Dan's like really, really logical. So we're like, okay, we need to meet each other a little bit more here.
Yeah, well, this is the beautiful thing about polarization and the yin and the yang in relationships, right? Is when we can appreciate, the qualities in that other person, then we can actually start creating almost a stronger dynamic together.
Yes.
By appreciating each other and using each other's strengths, and understanding that yes, our strengths can be our weaknesses as well.
It's also really beautiful because we learn a lot from each other, and that I would say that's another piece is being open to hearing, even if you don't agree, but being open to hearing what your partner is saying, and then looking at which pieces can you receive in that moment, and which pieces are you willing to kind of play with, right? And meet some what's going to be, what's non-negotiable for each of you, and then what's negotiable, so that you can come together and find some middle ground, if that's making sense.
Yeah, totally. I usually call that finding the win-win, right?
Love it.
I think compromise is a dirty word,
Yeah.
and not the fun kind of dirty. I feel like compromise is when we're giving up a piece of our truth, right? Like something that is really integral to us. And I don't think that works in relationships. I think what you're talking about is what works when you really find like, okay, what's the whole thing going on here? Where can we be in curiosity about where we meet up? And, where can we find that synergy in that place where we sort of come together in what we want? And then how can we build from there?
Yes, absolutely. And then we also do something called a money date.
Okay.
So, do you want to describe that a little bit?
Sure. So basically, essentially it's a check-in, right? Because obviously me being a financial planner, I manage kind of the money of that household as well too, right? But I want her obviously involvement in it, even though she doesn't have to be part of the mechanics. As my wife, I want her to know what.
Oh yeah.
We are on track for achieving our goals. So having that regular check-in regarding finances is vital to keeping us together on the same page in that regard, right?
And here's some tips on how we do it, because it's not just like
we
do it for finances. Yeah. So we literally create an environment. We literally create it like a date, and sometimes it'll be on our bed. Sometimes other times it might be lighting a candle or diffusing essential oils. It's and putting on sexy music, but it's something where we get to really put ourselves in the mood, so our nervous systems are calmer.
Okay, so you guys are sort of creating sort of this central or calming or relaxing atmosphere around you.
Yes.
So you're feeling really good, and then you talk about the money.
That's right. We talk about the money.
Sure.
When we whip out our credit card statements.
Nice, thick credit cards.
Bills.
Yeah.
Voluptuous.
Yeah. Get me excited, your girls.
Yeah. Nice round account numbers.
That's right. Your people are gonna get such a good laugh out of this one. And honestly, we're literally going over our credit card statements and just checking in. Like, do things match up? Where are we spending our money on? Do we know where we are, and is it matching our priorities?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you look at your wall then and go like, okay, is this actually matching our goals? Is it matching our value systems? Is it matching where we want it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So because I think most people say this A, B, and C are important to them, but the quickest way to really see if it is where are you putting your money?
Where you invest your money and time, right?
Right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you have more to say about that in terms of what you notice when you're looking at your clients are looking at their credit card statements or.
Well, it's interesting because I can go through a budget with my clients and they say, oh, yeah, we spend $8,000 a month on life. But then if they have $10,000 a month of income coming in and there's nothing left over, well, what's that other $2,000 being spent on?
Mm-hmm.
So then, it's easy to spend money on $5 Starbucks and $100 for a round of golf or whatever the case is. So yeah, where is that money being spent, right? And is it a good use of your money, right? Well, good is a relative term. So you got to know, you got to prepare for the future, but you also got to live your life now too. You don't want to sacrifice either one.
Totally. So is it aligning really, what I hear you saying is it aligning with what you want, right? Like if you're really wanting to put away for your future, but you're spending that extra $2,000 on who knows what, and you kind of aren't sure, and you're looking at it and you're like, oh, that stuff's actually not really important. Then by looking at it, now you can decide to do something different with it.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I love these money dates because it literally activates us to set ourselves up for that alignment and then manifest our goals. So I think it was our most recent one where we're like, holy moly, we're actually overspending in this area and we need to pull back. So where are we spending too much money on? We love eating out. Well, thanks to guys, that's COVID.
Yeah, until a month ago, yeah.
Right. I mean, that's the upside of it. But we decided, okay, we're going to do less dinners. And then also that something of that dialogue also activates me internally, go, okay, well, I know I love my dinners out with my friends. And then also like we like to go on double dates. So that means I'm going to manifest more money in my business monthly. And literally that happened the next month. Like I don't even know if it really stuck. We weren't that good with
reining it in. No, we almost
money.
went more double dates and more dinners out. I know. We put the intention out there to earn more money so we could keep doing the things that we enjoy, right?
Yeah.
It was manifested.
Yes.
Exactly.
So it literally just having those conversations, creating a plan of action aligned with your goals is so important. Like I think I love talking about business with Dan as much as I love having sex with him. Like I'm not kidding you.
Cool. That's either a really good thing or a really bad thing. I don't know.
But you know how much I love business.
It's the same energy center. It's so interesting that you guys bring that up because I have so many clients that are like very attracted to a lot of people and they're like, does this mean that I'm like sexually attracted to them? And I'm like, well, the thing that I discovered years ago, like, because I became very activated in my sacral. And I was like, wow, I'm attracted to so many people. And I'm just sitting across, like we're at some, beautiful event and there's this like, beautiful woman and I'm just like super attracted. I'm like, what's going on here? Yeah. I don't think I want to take you home, but I'm like really liking you, right? And it was like, what's going on here? And when I really went into my own sacral sexual energy, it was like, wow, this is my creation energy. This is my birthplace. This is my creative center. Like, I want to birth something with this woman, and meeting men that I'm attracted to. It's not always that I actually want to have, I think we've been told to translate that attraction into an actual sexual act, but it can go into our business. It can go into art. It can, it's like this, I want to create with you energy. Yeah. And so it makes perfect sense to me, at least, that you guys would have this beautiful, robust sexual energy and also that it would really turn you on to talk about your business too.
I call it soulgasmic, orgasm in your soul. And that's seriously like, even when we met Leanne, right? I'm like, whoa, this is such a soulgasmic connection. I'm loving it. And really, we are all energy and energy matters. And how we put ourselves out there, how we show up is energy and our vibe attracts our tribe. So yeah, I hear you. I love how you just really, it's not black and white. Just because we're attracted to somebody doesn't mean it's sexual. There's something deeper, like our souls are being called to be magnetized to each other.
Absolutely. Like it's just like, it's a call to create, it's a call to come together with that person in some way. And that could be through sex.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't have to be either,
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that, it's nice to say that, because I think it gives people a lot more options. Because then you don't have to be like, oh, I have to repress this, or feel bad about feeling like really juicy about someone, because it actually is just, a natural energetic call to be in creation with someone. So
1,000%. I love that. That's where the juiciness is.
It is. So, but I love this money date. I mean, I've never actually heard anybody say that they've done anything like this. Like, I've brand new. And I think it's just such a brilliant idea. I love how you guys are bringing in like some of the most beautiful aspects of a relationship into the money, center, so that, you can really incorporate that with all that juiciness. And, when we talk about manifestation, I mean, that's all, again, a lot of us happening through the sacral energy. I mean, we can talk about how we can use sexual energy to manifest things, but that just seems like such a beautiful pairing. I really love that you guys have come up with that.
Thank you. And I do see like we're doing this for inspirational and fun and just really giving back, because at the highest level of a relationship for a couple is to really be playing full out and then contributing to the world and being in service as well, right? In whatever way that looks like. And so for us, we see this as our way to really show up and provide inspiration, provide support. And we do see like in the future that we will be giving talks, we will be giving workshops on bringing in our expertise, particularly how do you communicate and how do you energetically align yourselves. I teach about the chakras as well, being an energy business coach. So how do you align your chakras so that you are connecting, not just heart to heart, but chakras to chakras, right? And divinely, so that you are having these logical, pragmatic communication skills with the energy, the spirituality around it, so that you co-create this delicious sogasmic relationship.
Oh yeah. And the other chakras are really juicy too.
Sure are.
Years of tantra, it's like, whoa, like it's like, I don't, it's so funny because like we're talking about this is my everyday life, my everyday friends, we can have these conversations, but when I go out into the world and I start talking to, the regular everyday person, they don't even realize the potentiality that there is for pleasure and connection and intimacy in their relationship. And, that's why I'm doing this stuff. I'm like, okay, let's, like open people's minds and imagination just a little bit, to what is actually possible.
And I love that you in the beginning of this interview, you talked about relationship with self, because that's where pleasure needs to start with, is with yourself, and then that emanates and radiates out into the world and into your relationship with each other. Because really, when shit comes up, it's what's your shit, what's their shit, and like what it's colliding, right?
Totally.
Yeah. And without being in love with yourself, it's, I don't know if it's impossible, but very difficult to be in love with your spouse fully
expressed.
Totally. Well, I mean, if you're having internal judgments about yourself, those are going to become external judgments about somebody else. Yeah. And, those are walls, those are walls that can really prevent a relationship from going forward. Or from becoming as great and as open as it could, right? And it's going to prevent you too from fully being in the relationship. I meet people all the time that are like, they judge their bodies to not be good enough. So they want to be having this fabulous sex, but they won't turn the lights on. They want to, keep the sheets over them. And they're like, this is driving me nuts, because, it's preventing them.
Free.
Yeah.
That's funny because I used to specialize in body image, like eating psychology. So, yes, I truly know that world.
You're right. And it's true, just with everything. It's like, like we're talking about that subconscious hiding pieces of yourself. And when you're not really in love with yourself, that is what you're going to do, because those pieces that you don't love, you're not going to be wanting to look at. You're kind of going to be hiding them a bit, you know, and so they're going to hide in your relationship as well. And that, you know, I don't know. Yeah. Such an interesting thing. If you had told me, you know, like 20 years ago, I would have said, oh, I could totally be in a really loving relationship without loving myself. But, you know, like you're saying, Dan, you know, it's interesting. I think it might depend on how you define love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because love comes in all forms, right? Yeah, absolutely.
What is a loving relationship, right? Like that's a big question that looks a lot different for a lot of people. But I prefer like the really juicy, orgasmic, soulgasmic.
Yes.
Where I like to live, so
I hang out there too. We do.
That requires some self-love.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So I can see that we're at time. Is there any final things that you guys would like to leave the viewers with? Any last little tidbits or
words of wisdom? Well,
yeah, just anything like arising for you that you would like to share before we go?
You know, for me, it's honesty, like I mentioned earlier on, honesty with yourself and honesty in your communication with your spouse. Short-term pain for long-term gain is what it comes down to, right? The honest conversations are difficult to have in the moment, but by avoiding the honesty or manipulating what you're actually feeling, it's to the long-term detriment. You're going to pay for it at the end, right? So have the difficult conversations, and then I think your spouse will appreciate you even more for it.
Yeah, I always, you know, it's funny when you say that. I always think of the gym, the short-term pain for the long. It's like, you know, the going to the gym or like your first yoga class, or, you know, it can be like really difficult and feel perhaps even embarrassing. And you think like, oh my gosh, and maybe you go home and you're sore for days. But then, you know, as you get used to doing it, you almost find a comfort. You almost find an enjoyment in that.
Yes, a satisfaction.
Like it almost becomes something that you actually enjoy. And I think the same is with relationships, and I don't think we say that enough, you know, because it can feel really uncomfortable, but it actually becomes like a dynamic. I find that like, I'm like, oh, look what's coming up. Ooh, this is a really difficult conversation. Like, what are we going to open up in our relationship? What are we going to expose? What are we moving into? Like, what is this juicy invitation that's here for us if we can just navigate this uncomfortability a little bit?
Yes.
And yeah, it breaks down some barriers for sure when you have a conversation about something where you've kind of pushed your limits of what was previously, you know, maybe not acceptable to talk about. So if you're talking about money, well, then it's naturally going to translate into sex or your relationship with each other in deeper levels, or whatever the case is.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan. I love that. Yeah.
I actually have the download that's coming up for me, Leanne, is providing an exercise homework for your child. That's juicy, and I'd actually like to offer I speak light language, so I'd actually like to offer a light language activation, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Beautiful. So and just for those of you who don't know what light language is, it's a language that only your soul can understand. It is a language from divine, and I was gifted this language about a year ago. And what happens is when you receive it, so your soul is going to receive it so that it unlocks your soul's memory. Because some of us we're all at different levels. I work with a soul coach, and she speaks light language with me. I listen, I get different activations, and they all have different codes to unlock in your DNA and in your soul's DNA. And my intention of speaking this, once I give the exercise, is to have your audience come back and listen to this light language activation again, so that it really deepens it. And I'd really love to hear the feedback. I'll be playing in this group, by the way. So I love to receive the feedback to see what it activates, because the power of it activates different things for different people. So sometimes it's memories, sometimes sometimes it's like activating like new messages that you're meant to receive. Everything in terms of like code is you're receiving what you're meant to receive. Your soul needs right now, divine guidance.
Perfect. So invitation for everybody, you know, there's going to be comment areas on this video, comment, you know, let us know what happens. Okay.
Okay, so the homework is I invite you to take a piece of paper, sit down, and really journal out your deepest desires when it comes to your relationship. What have you not told your partner yet, or partners if you have more than one? What is it that would light you up so much in that next level of desire, that next level of your relationship? And it may be related to your sex life, or it may be related to what you're needing more of. If you are really clear about like what your, let's say like you would like your spouse to be more touchy-feely with you, or more verbal, emotionally open with you, but what would that look like specifically? What would they be saying? What would they be doing? Get really specific. Don't be vague, because the universe can't deliver it if you're vague, right? So be as specific as possible. Write that down, and there's no right or wrong in any of this. It's like just let it flow out, let it flow, let it flow, let it flow. And then that's the homework. If you, then I would invite you to share that with your partner. Share your desires with your partner. Sit in the space of, okay, I am just seeing you as a conscious being of choice here, and I am just seeing you with love, with eyes of love. There's absolutely no judgment. I'm going to receive, right? Whether that your partner can meet you there or not is not relevant at this point. It's just holding space for the practice of speaking your truth with your partner, and really being a witness to how that experience is for you. Because at the end of the day, this is about you stepping into your courage and leading with your courage, and to be vulnerable, courageous enough to be vulnerable, to share your truth, whatever your truth is. Okay. And once you do that, then come back. You can listen to this right now anyway. I think it's great. And then there's no right or wrong. Time is just a human concept. And then come back or right now listen and receive this light language activation. So taking a breath in. And taking it out. Breathing out anything that doesn't serve as support. Breathing in love. Speaking your truth. It's your birthright. Feeling pleasure is your birthright. Activating your playful, sacred, sexual energy. This brings up the creative juice. Whatever is coming for you right now, whatever is coming to you right now, is for you. You are love. Breathe in. Speak your truth, my loves. Breathing in one more time. And then breathing out.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful rest of your day, and it was such a pleasure to have you both here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leanne.
Bye-bye.
Bye.